Sorry, we had you there. We lost your audio midway through, so sorry about that. That's on our end. Same question, if you don't mind. What did LSU accomplish over the last 3 games?
They put themselves back in the conversation to host a regional. Gave themselves a chance again by going on the road and sweeping Vanderbilt like that, scoring 42 runs. They're now 17-13 in the SEC. They were 17-13 in the SEC when they hosted in 2019. Their RPI has gone back up, and they're going to have a chance here, especially if they can win a couple games in Hoover to host some postseason games.
From an offensive standpoint, some of the numbers that they put up this weekend, how good was that? I mean, that was incredible to see. I mean, it felt like a football score.
Yeah, that last Saturday game absolutely was 21-10. But as someone mentioned to me, they're like, "Well, could Vanderbilt have scored 10 points in football?" But this was probably LSU's best offensive weekend as a whole of the whole season. I mean, they scored more runs against Maine opening weekend, but Maine ain't Vanderbilt, especially on the road. They were complete top to bottom in the lineup. Dylan Cruz was phenomenal. He had Braden Jobert do 9 RBIs on Saturday in that closeout game, especially with his grand slam in the 8th inning. This offense was as good as it has been all year.
Is Cruz the SEC Player of the Year in your opinion? Should he be?
I think he should be. I mean, maybe it's bias getting to watch him up close as often as we do, but he's in the top 3 or so in most of the SEC offensive categories. He's batting, and then when you look at him just in conference play, he's just as good, if not better than anybody. 16 of his 21 homers have come in conference play. He is so dynamic at the plate. I don't really know who else you would give it to. I mean, I'm sure that the SEC could find someone. There are other deserving players, of course, who've had good seasons. But the things that he does at the plate, I think he deserves it personally, anyway.
From LSU's standpoint, as far as offensively goes with Cade Doughty, what do you expected him of this injury? I know this is something that he's dealt with.
Yeah, at the beginning of last season, he dislocated his shoulder during a sort of bizarre home run celebration. He had to miss a few games. Maybe he's looking at the same thing here, but we don't for sure know yet. He had a big wrap on his shoulder after, having to kind of pop that back into place after that game on Saturday. And so, maybe he has to miss a few here, but they're doing some testing to find out exactly how long he'll have to miss. And it might end up being kind of a pain tolerance thing. Make sure he can move it and have full mobility again, depending on the severity of the injury.
LSU waiting on the outcome of Auburn and Kentucky to find out who they will play Wednesday night, it looks like, on the SEC network. Wilson, if I'd asked you this question last week, I'd imagine it would have been a polarizingly different answer on how do you feel about LSU going into the postseason after a weekend sweep by Ole Miss. Now, after they were able to win 4 games last week, including their midweek performance, where is the state of this team going into postseason play from your standpoint?
Yeah, certainly from everybody else's perspective, sort of seems much different than it did leaving Ole Miss, and it should. I mean, when you go get swept and then sweep another team on the road like that, you certainly feel much better about LSU's chances than a week ago. But this team doesn't look, in terms of how. Played better, but it has kind of been like this all season, a little bit up and down. Sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get. And that, honestly, just enjoy it. This seems sort of wonderfully unpredictable at times, and that could make for an interesting postseason, and they can get hot at the right moments. You just got to win, enough games there in the postseason to get you just got to win 5 to get to the College World Series. And so they might be able to do that if they get hot at the right moments. I don't know what to make of them sometimes. Right. They're sort of hard to peg, but they've certainly got the offense to get there, and their pitching staff has been pretty good too.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the pitching staff. Do you think they've developed enough arms, or at least trust in arms, for what they will need to be a viable postseason team? Because we've seen, offense can come and go, but as long as you have arms, you can stay in it.
Yeah, and that's still a little bit of a question mark in terms of the starting pitching. Right? Who's going to really eat up innings? But they've got so much depth in the bullpen that gives you some confidence, because, their ERAs as a whole on the season is 3.99. That's tied for third in the SEC, and that, would suggest that, they've got enough. They've got the right kind of production. because they can go to their bullpen as much as they have. That's been their formula, and it might just work out okay. But it gives you pause maybe in something like the College World Series or even this week in Hoover when you're playing a lot of games back to back to back to back. How are they going to be able to last without the starting pitching? That's going to be a little bit something that they have to answer, but they've done it this year with the bullpen.
Any updates on Jacob Berry and expectations for him?
Nothing new so much. I mean, it's still a pain tolerance thing with that finger. We saw him take batting practice before the Northwestern State game on Tuesday, and then obviously he was in the lineup when he can bat right-handed. During that BP session, he was only batting right-handed. The question for him is, he's such a dynamic switch hitter, and especially from that left side, and you're usually going to face right-handed hitters. It's going to continue to be whether or not he can just hold up with the pain on his finger, because batting left-handed puts more pain on that because of where it is on it, on the barrel, and it's just going to be whether or not he can take it. And how much better it gets heading into the postseason.
Do you think you'll see him in the lineup regardless? Do you think that they'll move on with him just batting from the right side?
Yeah, if they're facing a left-hander, I'm sure they'll get him in here similar to what they did.
No, I'm saying
Vanderbilt.
even if it's a righty. Do you think he'll find his way into the lineup regardless?
Maybe not. It'd be something worth asking Jay about today because why he does so much as a switch hitter, and that's his style. That's what he's used to doing. He's not used to batting from the right side against a right-hander. That'd be kind of a different look for him. Not that he couldn't handle it. I mean, he's such a advanced hitter for his age, and he's so talented. But when they have other options in the lineup like they have from the left side, like Braden Jobert batting left-handed, I don't know why you would necessarily want to do that. As good as Jacob is, you're only playing with half of them, right. If you're only batting him right-handed.
You think they stay in the gold jerseys?
You got to at this point, right?
I think so.
I would think so. Hey, that's worked before.